Today we're going to talk about book covers. Whether you hire a professional or do it yourself, there is a lot of information that can be useful regardless of which path you take. And if you stay until the end of the episode, I will reveal the brand new cover for the God Queen. Hello, Liebelings. I'm Mari, science fiction and fantasy author who's been living in southern Germany since 2014. Now, I want to preface all this by saying I am not a professional. My sister actually is a professional, and I have gone to her often for advice and feedback, as well as other professionals in my time as creating. I designed the original cover for the God Queen, and I will actually go through the process of like all the tools that I used in order to make this bad boy. I do, just FYI, all the links that I'm going to find all these tools, I will link there's a link below in the description, because I actually wrote a blog post version of this episode back when this original cover was revealed. And I figured with this brand new version, I would revisit this topic and kind of talk about how I changed this to the new one. FYI, it was actually my birthday 2 days ago. I am now 34 years young, and I thought as a special celebration, I would then release the newest cover for the God Queen. One of the reasons why I have decided to go through with this, because there's the old adage, don't judge a book by its cover. Unfortunately, with actual books, that is not the case. You do very much judge a book by its cover. And while I do love this cover so much, it's not 100% on genre. In fact, I was aiming for, something similar. This as well, with the silhouette. So it wasn't like I was going completely off target, but if you look at we're gonna go through it, but as I was doing more research on the market, I realized that I needed to improve the cover. So this is where we are today. But before we continue further, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell if you haven't already. Here on Adventures of Lamari, we talk about writing, living abroad, and everything in between. So before we go any further, I want to say, if you do have the funds to hire a professional, if you're going to go for a book cover, I recommend you do. It is a lot of work, and in order to do it correctly, to give your book its best shot, you have put so much blood, sweat, and tears into writing the story. You do want to give it its best shot, and that usually does mean a very good cover, because that is the first thing a potential customer is going to see. So that being said, as I said before, there is an entire blog post of this very same episode. I have the link to the original post below, and everything that I have talked about and all the links in order to find these tools and goodies are in that specific link. I thought it would be easier than try to link every individual one in the description below. Just go to the website, go to the blog post. The structure of that post is exactly the same as this episode, so these links should be easy to find. So let's go for the list. So the first step in creating a book cover is looking at other ideas. The best place you want to do is either go to Amazon and look at the bestseller list in your genre, or you go to Pinterest. You have to have an idea of what kind of designs you want to go for. Regardless if you hire a professional or you do it yourself, this is the most important step. Because even if you're hiring a professional, they're going to want to know what ideas you have, what direction you want to go, because they can't read your mind. They don't know your story. They don't know the nuances. They can't just pull an amazing cover out of their ass, out of their head, out of wherever. You got to help them out. And the best way to do it is to look at other covers in your genre to at least know what kind of direction you need to go in. So once you've decided, what direction you want to go in, then you have to decide if you're going to go do it yourself or you're going to go professional. So if you're going to do it yourself, I have a list in that original blog post for Reedsy, ebook cover design, Demonza, DeviantArt. There are a lot of places, and even if you go on Instagram and you find an artist that you like, a lot of them, if you talk to them personally, they usually can come up with a deal on how, what their costs are to to create a cover for you. So if you decide to do it yourself, there are 2 routes that I will recommend. Whether you're a complete newbie to the world of Photoshop or you are a seasoned person like myself, the first one I'm going to recommend is Canva. Canva has a lot of great templates you can work with. I think sci-fi, for a sci-fi book, it's okay. Fantasy, I think, is going to be very hard, but I do think a lot of the templates they already have are great for romance, children's books, vintage, cookbooks, inspiration, and nonfiction. So if you're on a budget, that is a really good place to start. You can find some really fantastic covers. There's some you may also have to pay for, like one of the images, but compared to paying for a full professional designer, it can, it could help you. But I think with professionals, they'll really help you in the realm of science fiction and fantasy, just because the trend in those covers is a lot harder to mimic in something, say, like Canva. The other route you can take is Photoshop, which is what I have done. I have used Adobe Photoshop in the past. However, I am not a fan of the fact that you have to pay like a monthly fee. So I actually use Corel, which has a very similar setup to Adobe, but it's a one-time fee. And then, after a few years, if you need an update, then you pay another fee or whatever. For me, it has ended up costing a lot less than Adobe, but I still get a lot of similar perks. However, for this specific cover, as well as the new one, I also had invested in a newer iPad at the time. This was back at the beginning of last year, beginning of 2019, with an Apple Pencil. And through that and lots of YouTube and learning how to do digital art, I was able to also enrich and add more to photos that I needed or images that I needed in order to use Photoshop to create the complete piece. So now that you know which route you're going to take and you're going the do-it-yourself route, you need to know your dimensions. This takes a quick Googling. If you're going to go through Kindle or you're going to go through Ingram Spark or you're going to go through whoever, you're going to need to know the dimensions of your ebook. You will also need to know the dimensions of a paperback or hardback, but that will come later once you actually know what your page count is, because the page count will then determine how thick or thin your spine is going to be. So that's kind of like later, but you do need the actual ebook front, because even if you're selling a paperback online, which is where most people are buying their books, that's the image they're going to see. So once you have those dimensions, then it comes to designing the book. So the different aspects you're going to need, the first is, most importantly, the font. The font is essentially your logo for the series, and you got to pick something you like, because if you're writing a series, you're going to be stuck with that font for a while. If you're not entirely sure where to even begin on what kind of font you want, there is a link in the original blog post to Creative Indie, where this person actually has made amazing images that actually tell you for each genre what kind of fonts you should be looking for, to at least kind of give you an overall idea of the direction. Once you have an idea, then I would suggest either going to 1001freefonts.com or Da Font, where you can start finding the actual font you want. I would suggest narrowing your. Personally, I like using Da Font only because their search choices are a lot easier, a lot more intuitive, in my opinion. With Da Font, then you can actually click 100% free and free/public domain. That has actually helped me narrow my search considerably, because there's nothing more frustrating than finding the font you want and then find out, oh, you need a commercial license. God damn, no. So you want to go for the free ones, specifically with commercial license. You can find ones that are 100% free, but it's for personal use. And then if you do want a commercial license, then you have to go to another website to pay for for the license, and it's very frustrating. So you need to do your research before you actually pick your font. This is very important, because you do not want to get sued over this, because you didn't get a license when you needed one. Also, keep in mind that you want to keep your font simple and legible, especially for the title, because you only have seconds, mere seconds, to catch your reader's attention. So it needs to be legible and to the point. If you're wondering what font I have gone with, for the original cover as well as this new one, I have kept the font, which is CGF Locus Resistance. A lot of sci-fi space opera titles usually go for a sans serif type font because it is bold and modern and simplistic, and I like this one because it had kind of the splatters that look kind of warlike since there's a civil war going on, so that's what I went with. Next, you need to decide what kind of colors you want. I would suggest sticking between 2 and 3 colors when you're designing your cover. You don't want to make things too busy. Again, you know, you gotta, yeah, usually 2 colors is what most people go for, something that's on opposing sides of the spectrum. You want them to contrast in order to catch the reader's eyes. You can either choose colors, you know, a color scheme that you like, or you can choose a color scheme that may evoke a special emotion that you want to elicit from your reader, a potential reader, that does have something to do with the story. Again, in the original blog post, I actually do list out the colors and what their meanings are. For this cover, as you can see, we have pink, dark blue, and light purple. So pink is considered youth, playfulness, emotion, and innocence. Dark blue is deep sincerity, intuition, and truth. And light purple is prosperity, spirituality, creativity, and harmony. So the story tells the tale of a young spiritual woman who discovers the truth about her identity and now has to contend with it. I also, even though it's a very serious matter, I love witty banter, and I like adding a little humor to my story. So I feel like those work out, but in all honesty, I just like the color scheme. That's why I chose it. It just so happens to fit, but yeah, you can go either one of those routes. There is, I watched a video from Mandy Lynn, who designed Bethany Atzade's covers, her most recent ones for her Stolen Kingdom series. And for one of the books, as the designer, Mandy had thought it would be cool to go for a purple color scheme, but Bethany does not like the color purple. Therefore, it was kind of just not on the table. However, you know, that color can be very popular depending on the genre. It is one of the benefits of being a self-published author. You do have a say in it. If you don't want a purple cover, then you don't have a purple cover. That's fine. If you go in the traditional route where the publishing house will design your cover, you are SOL, and you just gotta live with what they make. So yeah, I'm rambling, but color, there's a lot you can do with it, but try everything. Keep it simple, guys. Next is the image. Just again, I don't know how many times I'm gonna have to repeat this, but keep it simple because there is a reason for it. We'll get to that in a moment. Personally, I liked, as you saw with this cover, yes, but and with these 2 covers, I liked the silhouette. I am not a fan of the covers that has a person's face on it. I don't like the idea of telling my readers or potential readers, this is how a character is supposed to look like. I mean, there's character art, and that's a kind of like a completely different thing, but I feel like that's more for fans of the work anyway. For those who are just being introduced to the series, I'd rather them come in with little to no expectations, and then they can make their own decisions. And that's part of it is why I liked going for a silhouette initially. Of course, you have to be careful if you go the silhouette route, because not all silhouettes are going to be appropriate for your cover, and you know, just sticking a silhouette on there is not going to necessarily fix your problems. Be careful with that. I specifically wanted one, if you can see, it's a woman with an attack stance, and you know, with a bladed staff. The thing is, I had to actually Frankenstein her from at least 2 or 3 different silhouettes that I had to purchase through images. And of course, like coming up with like a planet, and then, you know, you have like a nebula and the stars, because you want to make sure that when a person looks at this, they know what genre this is. And this is where I started to kind of get into a problem. Yes, I have a planet, I have a person with magical lightning, and you have stars. So yeah, okay, it's set in space, it is science fiction, it's missing something. It's not quite there yet. So, but that was the direction that I was heading. So if you want images, there are some places like Flickr, Pixabay, Pexels, free images, Unsplash, and Wikimedia. But there's some you do have to pay for, and if you're okay with paying, then you can go to Stock Unlimited or Shutterstock. to find images that you need. If you are fortunate like I am, where you can draw some backgrounds that you need, or if you already have, like I needed mountain backgrounds. I have hiked enough in the Swiss and Austrian Alps. I actually have photos of the Alps that I have used myself. So yeah, I used some of my own images for the cover. I'm fortunate to do that. I own those images. But yeah, it's all about trying to use what elements you can. But remember, if you are writing a book series, you need to figure out a theme. Like, what elements do you want to keep? So, say with this, I still need a planet. I still want a nebula, but the nebula will be different colors. I want to go for a female, like a figure here at the bottom, and lightning. As I'm working on the cover for The Last Imperator, I had already decided those are the elements that will need to carry over, so that when you're looking at a book series, the fans will know, oh, okay, it's part of this book series because it is similar. There is a theme. Or if you're super weird like me, like I like my collections to look the same. So it's not just for marketing, it's also for weirdo collectors like myself. And last but not least, once you put all these elements together, you got to see how it looks like as a thumbnail, which is the very small version of it, which is why it is so important to keep things simple. Because once you smush it, and if it's a very busy cover, it's just going to look like a weird jumble. And then your potential reader is going to see it on, say, Amazon and be like, what the hell is this? And they probably then won't even click on it to see if it's even worth buying. So the thumbnail is really the moment of truth, I would say. And if you want to know how it will look, you can either shrink it to about thumbnail size, or you can, like step away from your computer, like far, far away to get small and see how does it look then. This is like the most important step. How does it look as a thumbnail? Because if it's too busy, or if it's too dark, or if it's too like whitewashed or whatever, that's the moment where you may need to fix a few things. So once you already have all that, then you need to start looking at test groups. And you need to start getting feedback. I mean, just like if you're writing a novel, usually you have your beta readers, or you then eventually have your editors. You do need to have fresh eyes, because obviously you will have looked at this cover way too long and you're not sure if it's right or if it's just looking weird and you're just slightly going crazy. So you can go and host a poll either through PickFu, or you can go through your betas or your writing group, or if you have the stomach for it, I would suggest signing up for the Indie Cover Project, which is a Facebook group, a closed Facebook group. They have helped me with both of my covers actually, and they're very honest. If you are okay with constructive criticism, I highly recommend, because they are full of very knowledgeable people that can help point you in the right direction. And then once you have everything, then you actually need a 3D rendering, a 3D mock-up of this book. I recommend going to do-it-yourself or DIYbookcovers.com. Again, the link is in the blog post in the description below. It's free. You just upload your cover, and then it makes a beautiful 3D rendering of whatever like type you want. If you want a Kindle or iPhone or hardback, paperback, or a compilation of them, or what have you. It really helps, because when you're trying to make your marketing images and you need a 3D version of it, it's good. It's really good. So, woo! There you have it. Now you have all the tools. Now it's time for you to go out and make that smashing cover. Though I'm sure I may have missed some steps. Are there other aspects of creating a book cover that you think I have missed? What do you use for your book cover making process? I hope you at least even realize how much work when you do hire a professional, like all these little things that they also have to think about when they're creating. I mean, those professionals, they make it look effortless, and it comes with experience. The more that you do it, the easier it gets. And this was a labor of love that took me about a year to figure out. And if you've stayed along with me long enough in this episode, thank you. You will see that after another 8 months or so of working hard, working on digital painting and bettering my Photoshop, I have created a new cover. And now we're at the point where you get to see it. So thank you for staying here long enough. Are you ready? Are you ready? And here it is. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Whew. As you can see, I have kept the color scheme pretty much similar. I did want to keep the idea of you have a figure with lightning because that's the fantasy part. And of course, I tried to make better planets and a better nebula and space. It was exactly what I intended with this cover, but this was what my limitations were at the time. So this is what it will ultimately look like. I am really excited about it. As you can see, this is, you know, where I've gone in this learning process of designing and artistry. I'm really happy with with how far I've come. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. I really want to know what you guys think. So now that it has been announced, I am in the process of changing and rebranding. At the moment, if you are still interested in the old cover, you can still order them now. Go for it, go for it, go for it. I will definitely announce on my Instagram when I have officially made the change. So definitely follow me on Instagram if you're interested in knowing when the new covers will be available. It will be ebook almost instantaneously through Kindle. If you want a hardcover, you know, go ahead and order that. And I will also be working on a hardback version of God Queen, so I'm very excited about that. So, what do you guys think? Huh? And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're new here, please consider subscribing and give this video a thumbs up. It lets me and YouTube know you like content like this and you want to see more. Definitely leave me a comment, question, or topic you would like to see on this channel. Please leave it in the comments below. The God Queen is still available in the old cover, but will be soon in a new cover. Everything about this book and everything else, whatever you want, it's in the description below. And don't forget to connect with me on social media, whether it is through Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. And that's it for today. Until next time, ade!